And here we go live. Thank you, Devriya. So welcome everyone to Layer 5 website call. Today is October 31st and happy Halloween to everyone.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah. So with that, let's start with meeting agenda item. So before we begin, we do have a tradition to welcome newcomers on every call. So if you're joining this call for the first time, feel free to unmute yourself and say hi.
Hi, Gaurav. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Hi, Soumya. So would like to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure, Gaurav. I'm Soumyakan Patnaik. I joined actually the newcomer call, I think 1 month ago. And after that, I think I created some PRs for the layer5.io and the monthly. And yeah, still I think I have something around 12 to 14 PRs. And thank you so much, Lee, for
Yeah, that's great. So who would like to go next? Did I missed anyone? Ashutosh would like to give introduction, or you have joined this call earlier also? Okay, sure. So yeah, and please make sure you write your names in the attendance list. So with that, let's begin with our first agenda item for today, which is on service mesh patterns site. So let's have a look at that. So I do have this site open currently, and with the on another tab I have the design, so you can take a quick look on that. So do we have Nikhil or anyone who worked on this particular site? Nope. So
No, but we do have a lot of shy attendees today. I'll tell you that. So yeah, let's take a look at the site. Let's see, are we done? That will create a jump ship, huh?
Ashutosh, could you please mute? Thank you.
Cool. Well, hey, just to jump into this particular site. So who all on the call has worked on this site? Or maybe no one in particular. Well, Ishan has. There were a handful of folks, and so this is probably the newest and one of the smaller sites that we have. This one's just to highlight the fact that this particular book covers meshery. The second chapter of the book talks nothing but about meshery. And it says that if you want to learn the rest of the service mesh patterns in the book, great, you can read about them, or you can go to meshery and you can import those patterns. And so this is the list of patterns. You can take the YAML that's in the book and import them into meshery. I think I've said that 3 times now. So the book has a lot to do with meshery. This particular site is it about 4 pages? So the home page, which is something of an overview, it's a little bit wordy, sure. In the midsection, so if you take a look there, yeah, it's a little bit, That's probably okay. And people are, it's kind of like the inside cover or the back cover sort of says what the book is about, who it's for. Sure. I don't know that the who it's for has to be in quotes, but okay. If you keep scrolling, so if we just do kind of a quick review and try to answer that question, are we done? Let's see if we can do that. So you guys, you see in the footer, the resource library, it is a little out of place because does anyone know why resource library is slightly not the same as the rest? I'll leave that as like a 10-point bonus question for someone to answer it. Verbally or in the chat, either way. Think about it.
I think because of the capital letter of library, I think it should be in capital letter.
Sean, our friendship is only growing as you as you point out grammatical mistakes like that. Yes, that's right. That's right. Winner. The L isn't capitalized, and yeah, it makes a difference. You start to question, well, gee, should I really trust these authors? Like, are these, intelligent people? Do they know what they're writing about? So like small mistakes like that matter. If you kind of let your eyes gloss over the next couple of items, you hit the bottom, Service Mesh Interactives Lab sort of suffers similarly in terms of capitalization, but also in terms of, I don't know what interactives is. That sounds like a cool new video game or something, but it certainly isn't how you spell interactive. Anyway, if we go to the next page, so those are those three items is something that somebody could pick up and fix. Chapters of the book. So we have this heading, but we didn't capitalize the nouns in the heading. We just started to capitalize chapters, not chapters of the book. Okay, as long as we do that everywhere else. But I suspect that we don't. We probably want to capitalize book. I don't know. There's I'm a fan of the green color that we use here, but there is a hoop load of green on this page. And so, okay, fine, that, the expandable, contractible things are green. Okay. But then there's a button after that that's green, and it starts to get a little, I wonder if there isn't a different button color that we might want to use, maybe make that yellow. Because we do that. We have that, because we have that yellow color. So the final button, I think, is what it is probably should be more of a banner. It's pretty tight, pretty squeezed in there. Maybe it would, if we want to describe what that discussion forum is, that we would have a button for it on the left, sort of opposite. Actually, we basically say the same thing. Discuss patterns and best practices on the Layer 5 discussion forum. And then we say, join the conversation, join the discussion forum. I think we can eliminate.
Can I say something?
Yep.
Okay, concerning that particular button issue, I think it would be better if it's the banner actually, because the height and the content inside, it would be better if it's a banner. We use a banner for that place and then place the join the conversation button there. For the design of that particular button there, since it has so much content in it, we should convert it to a banner.
Anybody else want to second that notion? Or suggest something else? Yeah, it makes sense. I'll second the notion. Like, that sounds great to me. Not that it needs to look like what's on the Layer 5 IO website, but to reinforce Bottomy's suggestion, on the Layer 5 IO website, there is a banner for that particular, for the discussion forum, and that's kind of how it's used there. So that suggestion resonates with that suggestion resonates with how it's been used in the past. Yeah, I'm not even sure which page to look at, but it's in a couple of places. Okay, cool. All right. So just continuing along our review of the site and kind of our final stamp of approval. I just noticed this, and I don't know if this strikes everyone else the same or not, but the logo in the upper left-hand corner, the patterns, I wonder if it couldn't be, enlarged just a little bit. Like it's the white space is nice, but it's all, the logo is kind of small too. So here we get another example of a section title. This one's Meet Our Authors. So great. So Meet is capitalized and Authors is capitalized. That looks pretty good to me. I think that answers our other question on the book chapters page where we had chapters capitalized, but book lowercase. It's not, we probably want to uppercase book. So, okay, good. All right. So we've got a couple of nerds listed on the page. Fine. Down below, there's an even bigger nerd, Matt. He's here in the community, doing a great job of providing review. And so too are a handful of others are giving technical review. And so probably an action item for Lee to go get their info and provide that to you all here so that they can be listed. I would hate for them to, this would be my fault, I suppose. I would hate for them to see the page and not see themselves listed. So I wonder, I might almost suggest that like with technical review by that, we either lowercase those things, technical review, or there's something a little bit off about that section title. I understand it's a little bit smaller than the main section title, and that's all right. It's a subsection, it's a smaller thing. It is bigger and bolder than the title of like Nick's title. Geez, I couldn't think of another word, but developer advocate. So the section title with technical review by should probably be either a little bigger, maybe lowercase technical and review, or uppercase all of the rest, so something, or just put everything in uppercase if it's a section title, something. I don't know. If other people have better suggestions, please drop them in. Botany had a great suggestion a moment ago. For the most part, I'm just trying to facilitate answering the question like, hey, are we done? Let's give it one more critical review. And then, okay, if we go to the last page.
Yeah, and yeah, just one more thing. So we need a space after a comma for over here and here, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, Arunima, Arunima was suggesting, hey, maybe we can remove the with in the with technical review by. Yeah, sure. So if we remove that, it would say technical review by. Nice. Yeah, that would work as well. It could be that, okay, so the top says meet our authors. So a lot of times you try to be symmetric, or you try to keep the same tone or same phrasing. Meet our authors, technical review by. I was thinking maybe it could say technical reviewers, but that doesn't quite stay in sync with meet our authors. So technical review by, that seems like that would work. These aren't the biggest decisions to be made, but are good things to bear in mind. So yeah, we could drop the with, and that would help with that capitalization or help get rid of a word. So on the next page, so we have this button to go get the book. Nice. All right. Send all your money there. I could care less, or that doesn't affect me. About layer 5, that is a link that goes to the about page on layer 5. All right. Yeah, I wonder. Okay. So in the original design for this site, I think we had 2 other pages. Oh, wow. You had that on hand. Perfect. So here's the current designs for the site. So all of you that are on the call right now, it's very nice to see you all. And also, this is your site, or rather, there's my ugly pictures on the site, but that's not the point. The point is to tell people about this particular piece of technology, the fact that there's a book that describes it, and the fact that, like, actually one of the bigger points for even making this site is to let people know Meshery is a tool that will help you implement these things, these patterns. And that's kind of what we're missing, or the big chunk of what we're missing. I think it's like this third page. So we have this overview page, just a quick overview of the chapters of the book. You can notice that book is lowercase there. So that's, and we've got those two, yeah, it bought me that. There's your error. It's got your name all over it at the bottom of that second page. I expect you're going to be working in a new banner there probably. So that's great. This third page.
Okay, I should work on a new banner. Mr. Lee?
Go ahead.
I should work on a new banner on this one.
If you would, that'd be great.
Right?
Yeah.
For the layout. Okay. Okay, maybe I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for that discussion forum. Yeah. There's not that it matters, but just for context, whether it gets used or not, there's the logo layer 5. There's this pipe, this vertical pipe, and then the word discuss. If you end up zooming in on that a little bit, that's the logo for that subsite, that discuss.layer5.io. I'm only letting you know that that's the logo for it. It doesn't have to be used in the banner, but I think that you'll find that that's an image. So just as you go to design something, just for context for you, it's the third page that we actually don't have implemented. And to me, that is or was kind of the point of the site, was to let people know, like, hey, go use this tool. Here's this open source tool. Go learn and put your hands on the patterns, like go grab Meshery, and then you can do. And I guess, Gaurav, you might have more history here, or Nikhil might. Did we just never get around to designing what this thing would be? I think we described in the blue lettering up above what if you zoom in on that. So there's an overall descriptor of the page. We say this page should contain an overview of Meshery and the fact that all patterns can be imported and deployed by Meshery. Cool. Okay, that's the purpose of the page. That the contents of the page would be potentially like a video of Mesh Map, which is that compelling visual designer. That the page might contain an overview of the Meshery catalog. So that's cool, that meshery.io/catalog, that whole where all of the patterns are posted. Very relevant to this book, right? The patterns are posted on the catalog. That way, people, if they're reading the book, they don't have to like retype the YAML from the book. They just go to the catalog, Meshery catalog, and can import patterns into Meshery from there. So that's important to let people know about. And then the overall call to action of the page would be, I guess, between these two things: run Meshery, try Mesh Map. Okay. So Botme or anybody else that might want to take a crack at a design for that page, like, just to me, that's the moneymaker. That's like, how do you say it? That's that's what the whole site is about. Like, that's the page. Like, that's the one. So yeah. Anybody want to try their hand at designing the page? You'll be ridiculed if you get it wrong. We'll take you out, parade you around, embarrass you. We'll tweet about it. We'll say how horrible you are. It's like a win-win, because you'll either be celebrated for how awesome of a design you did, or you'll be softly and gently supported with some, with some thoughtful, critical feedback so that you can grow your skills. Like, I don't, anyway, it's, I suspect there's a couple of you who are sort of rubbing your hands thinking you might jump in and try something. And so, please do, in order to facilitate that type of, a process for designing, if you would, so Botany and Divine and some others are certainly familiar with this, but that you would, in Figma, to use Figma vernacular, if you would, or nomenclature rather, if you would take there's that frame called action, or it's just titled action, I guess, because the page is patterns and action. It's in the upper left-hand corner. It's a really small label called action. I think if you copy that, if someone, as you go to do your draft designs, you were to copy the frame and just kind of put it down below, and then you can work on it and change it however you want to. And anyone else that wants to try, they would just make a similar copy. That way, people can go nuts and make as many changes as they want. And then eventually we'll start to, you all will do reviews and sort of congeal on what the design actually is. And then you can just move those elements, those components back into the approved or the design at the top. But that way nobody gets there. Nobody like puts a lot of, like the reason I'm suggesting that, or the reason that I'm kind of highlighting that is just because if you don't make a copy of the design and you start doing a design right on this particular frame, other people might feel like, oh, I guess there's no more room left for me to do anything because I don't want to bump into what they're doing. Or other people will say, oh, okay, this is where you do draft designs. So I'll go in and do a draft design and I'll overwrite what you've done. And then someone comes back the next day and they're like, wait, where's all my hard work go? And so I guess I'm just saying copy first, design later, as opposed to like shoot first, ask questions later. It's more like copy first. Yeah. Cool. Well, so this is pretty great because like if you consider where the site is today, it's like all the ancillary work has been done and it looks pretty good. And now it's time for like the sweet spot, like the page of the site. Some of it's kind of nice because it'll be a little like cheating. It's like, well, there's a video that will go here. Great. There's not a lot to design. I mean, there's maybe graphical elements to layer in behind it or something else, but it's kind of nice because it's just like, boom, there's a block. And then we said there were two other sections. There's like a mesh map in action, which would be like the video, a little bit of an overview of the Meshery catalog. There's already content and designs on like giving catalog overviews. You can find some of that in the other pages in Figma. And the third thing was, I guess, just a call to action. So cool. What else? We should probably move on to other items.
Yeah. So if anyone don't have access to this Figma, do let me or Nikhil know in Slack. We will provide you the access. So moving on to next item for layer5.io website. So we have Arunima on category count to integrations filter. So Arunima would like to present.
So what we have to present, because for the first time I'm attending this call.
Oh, sure. So let me go to the link. So yeah, you can present your this pull request, or let me go to the preview. So if you could navigate me, or you would like to take the screen.
Yeah, sure. So will I have to share my screen?
Yeah, sure. You can share your screen.
Okay. Just a minute. Just give me a second.
So yeah, in the meantime, maybe we should move to something else or, oh, there we go. Okay. If anybody has a
Yeah.
joke.
So I guess I was working on this one, and this is the PR. And so like what am I supposed to do? Like I just added the integrations count on the page.
Yeah, you could show the deployed link,
Okay.
the latest one, like
Yes, I guess this one.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, so it's just adding the per count on the integrations page.
Yeah, that's great. So is the PR ready to go?
Yes, it is ready to go.
I'm just nitpicking here, like you can just add 80 plus in green, it would look great.
Yeah, it's a nice suggestion. So do you mean to add colors to the account? The green we are using for the layer files?
Okay. All right. Don't all speak at once. This is terrible. You can't hear anybody.
I guess
Cool.
no
So-
one was speaking.
Yeah, no, yeah. So by the way, boy, so I know a number of Aruns, and so I so desperately want to enunciate your first name as like,
Arunima.
oh, okay. Arunima.
Yes.
Okay, good. Nice. Hey, great work. I'm surprised that this is a compliment when I say I'm surprised that you did this and did it so fast. So cool. Okay. So one thing, I mean, I don't know that people will pay attention to this or not, but like, we're just kind of rounding up in the overall built-in integrations, which is like 80 plus integrations. We sort of just round up from 76. We're generous with 4 extra because in the all it says that we only have 76, and that's fine. We're adding many, many more. There'll be more and more coming. But there is a discrepancy, and so I don't know if that will, that's just one, I don't know if people will notice. The chaos engineering is like, wow, geez, it's a category of 1. API gateway, category of 1. Oh, geez. Again, as a matter of fact, does that really all add up to 76? I'll bet you my bottom dollar that it does, or I'll bet you $10 it doesn't add up to 76. So it's not that your code is not counting correctly. It's probably that we have a number that are hidden. So it might be that you would add a qualifier to the 76 to say, there's a piece of metadata. I think it's the metadata or front matter rather. There's front matter inside of each MDX file, I think called published. And so if they're not published, yeah, it's just, you'll have to, yeah. So you've got
actually Actually, it adds up to 76.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. 9
I
plus.
just counted. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
then
just adds up.
I'm blown away.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Concerning this count on the filter, I think in the new design, we made a design for carousel slide for this design. Are we going to integrate that into the carousel design too? Once it's
Yeah.
approved. Okay. So maybe I will do that once I get back to the file, the Figma file.
Nice. Yeah, unless and I'd like to hear from Nikhil if we could. I'm not convinced. Sometimes we suggest to do things between all of us, and it sounds good when you say it, and then when you do it, well, I don't know. Maybe it's a good idea to have the count there, or or maybe not. It's one of those things. What do you guys all think? So if you
I think it's looking fine. Like adding the count looks good. Even it makes us consistent considering the count that we show on the blogs page for different categories and tags. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think the count looks fine.
Yep. So any more feedback for Arunima? Or we should move forward?
Yeah, we should move forward, I guess.
Okay. Thank you, Arunima. That was great.
Thanks. Should I? Okay. Stop.
So next up we have is Gaganpreet on show integration name on hover. So Gaganpreet, would you like to take the screen? Do we have her on the call? Yeah.
and is mute on? Gaganpreet, are you speaking or no?
She's unmute, but we can't hear.
Hello? Now?
Yep,
Yeah,
perfectly
you are
audible.
audible.
Okay. There must be some glitch. I'll share my screen again. So now the screen is visible, right? Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Yep,
Okay.
everything is fine. Yeah, you can share.
So the PR was about like showing the topic of the integration. So I guess in the last website meeting, we had a discussion regarding that we have to remove the slow and move button, right? And have the anchor tag on this hexagon only. So I'll make the changes regarding that, and everything else looks fine, right? The animation and all.
Well, about that, just kidding. If I could maybe call on Nikhil again, I think if I recall, there was a conversation about maybe the learn more being a redundant or not adding a lot of value. And so maybe I missed what you just said. Maybe you just said that. Maybe you just said that you were going to remove the learn more. And
Right.
oh, okay.
Yeah, like I'll be removing this learn more button and just place the anchor tag on this hexagon only, like it was before. So whenever we click this hexagon, so we would be like redirected to the dedicated page for the integration. So like this learn more button won't be there, just the topic.
Cool.
That changed.
That's awesome. Hey, in that case, I honestly wasn't being a sarcastic jerk that time. I didn't hear you say that. So, okay.
Yeah, no problem here.
Cool.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you, Gaganpreet. So next up we have Utkarsh. So Utkarsh, would like to present?
You can just present and I will speak about it. Actually, I raised a PR and Devu PR told me to attend tomorrow's call and discuss about it.
Sure. Let me go to your PR. So yeah, Lee already approved it. So let's go to the build preview. So if you could navigate me where to
go. Projects. Docker mesh tree, I think. Just a sec. Just a second, I'm just pasting it. Just a sec.
Yeah, we're waiting. One more second. Oh.
Yeah. I pasted in the chat.
Sure. Yeah, you can speak to it.
Okay. I already raised a PR, just as Devipra told me to ask it about it, like what all next stages to be done. So like, can you just scroll and just see it in action? That these three images are changed now, as Lee suggested me to change it.
Cool. Yeah. That's it, man. It's like, it was as easy as that. It's just like, but now that you ask, allow me to, so we would actually want to change what the text says as well. So no longer are we talking about the performance yardstick, but we're talking about the slickness of the Meshery extension for Docker Desktop. If you don't mind to just grab some verbiage from the dedicated Docker extension page, and you can paste that over here. And we'll let you do that separately because we're running out of time. But it looks fantastic. Great job.
Okay, no problem. I will do
Who's
that.
next?
Yeah, so let's move to next item, Meshery.io. So we have Kamal on this Twitter feed, I guess. Yeah, I know about this issue. Okay, yeah, it's already merged.
Yeah, so I made sure that it got merged like yesterday or so. Just that the Twitter feed on the footer just got circular and responsiveness, like it comes at the center.
Oh,
So yeah,
great work, Kamal. Yeah. So
yeah,
let's.
except in the center, is that what we want? Wait a second. Guy's pulling a fast one on us. Hold
Let me
on.
go to the site.
Yikes. It takes a while, huh? Okay. And so if we inch by inch start to reduce the width of the browser, I bet you that you might expect that if they become two rows, that things are left aligned. So if you keep going, okay, that's one behavior. There you go, a little bit more. You squish them in there. Sorry. Oh, go back. Move it back. Oh, go back a little bit, if you would. Just a smidgy. Oh, okay. Well, that looks left aligned to me. It looks, first of all, there's some lack of margins that are consistent, between like community and socials. And then it looks like socials is kind of on the left, not necessarily in the center, but maybe those two things are centered. It's just, I don't know. I might suggest that center isn't necessarily what you'd be looking for. I don't know. But what do other people think, though? I gotta say, like, it doesn't look. If you go back. So right there, yeah, or a little bit further to the right, about an inch, as you kind of just start. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, do other people have feedback? It looks left aligned, not center aligned now, which actually looks a little better. I don't know. The other columns aren't necessarily equidistant as well. It just kind of looks like a smattering of columns and things. We do center align, it seems like maybe prematurely, the copyright, the tagline, and the code of conduct. I don't know.
Yeah, food for thought.
Like if you scroll like this, so squish it a bit, such that we have two rows. Yeah, yeah, of course. So basically, this view looks fine for smaller screens. Probably that is happening around 990 pixel or so, if I'm not wrong. So that would be fine along with center alignment. But in case of mobile view, a single column with the Twitter, like the Twitter, what is it called? Forgot the name, or whatever it is. The tweets being shown at the end of all the menu items, all the foot items, and it should be center aligned. That would make sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like
So
this
Kamal,
empty space on the left can be avoided for that.
yeah. So Kamal, will you fix it or would like to create an issue for this? Okay, I guess he wants to create an issue.
Okay, so I was on mute, but I just said that I would fix it.
Oh, sure. So let's move to next item we have is the nice 3D integration page creation by Gaganpreet and Kamal. So anyone of you would like to present?
/ integrations. And if you could just move it down, we have 4 views, like table, grid, and this one is a table, and the other ones are.
Nice.
You can also zoom out also, and zoom in also. Yeah.
Yeah, cool animation stuff. So Lee, you have comments or feedback?
Yeah, I'll toss in some, but hopefully others have other things to say other than awesome, excellent, fantastic, amazing, Cool. I'm just reading off the list in the chat. That's all. A couple of things. Watch out for the font change unless it was intentional on the page. The other thing is, it's a shame that not all projects have such a great looking white mode or white logo. But our investment into those is worthwhile because we'll use those on meshery.io. We'll use those on layer5.io. We use both the colored and the white versions. And so, Krishna Gupta is working on a dark mode for meshery.io. So I wonder what this might look like in a light mode. It'd be interesting. I wonder if it's reasonable to have the link, or if each of these cards are linked. It's something to prototype. I think it's quite possible, readily at hand. We don't necessarily have specific links for where we'd want to take people for each and every single integration just yet. In the long term, we will. A good next step is to see what this looks like integrated into the main page, or if it becomes really difficult to kind of navigate the main page. If this is a full width section, as someone is scrolling through the overall site and they hit this section, all of a sudden the scroll wheel doesn't move the page up and down. It zooms in and out of this. And so something for us to consider. I think it's great that there's a dedicated integrations page and that this is there. Depending upon that user interaction, when someone's trying to scroll over this as a section, maybe this does or doesn't work on the main page. I guess we'll see. Also, I guess we'll see.
Also, just confirming it, I had also asked it earlier that we have the number of integrations, we have approx about 500 something, but the periodic table is limited. So what I was suggesting was that on the spreadsheet that was shared, we have some gold and platinum members. So should we represent them first on the periodic table? Yeah, the table is limited means on a periodic table, we can have 108 elements.
No, you can't. No, dude, no, come on. But we're not trying to show a periodic table of integrations. I mean, it looks cool like that and stuff. But so is there a top number? This particular design, they didn't create this programmatically such that you can have any number of rows, but they... Is that right?
Yeah, my mind just got over that, the periodic table design. No, I get
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, okay. I mean, we don't need to set an artificial limit. Unless there are chemistry nerds that are gonna, make fun of us for it. But even then, it just doesn't matter. What does matter is page performance. If it did take a little while to load, then it would start to become more of an annoyance than anything else. Part of what we're trying to, it's the wow factor is what we're trying to have happen with something like this, where it's like, holy, whoa, this thing manages what? I didn't know that Meshery did. I thought it was just for service meshes. It's like, no, it's not. It's to manage a lot of things. And I think it is feasible, or rather we can make it such that people can interact with each individual card and click to go look at the details of that integration. It's certainly cool to look at and play with. It's also more difficult to navigate than sort of your some standard set of filters like we were just looking at on the Layer 5 IO site. So leaning into the wow factor, maybe we wouldn't even let them look at, we would say, hey, the helix, that's the one, we're just gonna display that. Maybe we don't give them control if the others don't work out or make sense. I think right now they do, but if we doubled the number of integrations, maybe one of them doesn't work just because it's too many. I don't know, but just context. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was just saying that I don't know if it's possible, but I think it would be possible that in Jekyll we could add a search bar that we are seeing only if we could add here also if the user is like searching for something particular, like if this integrates with Docker or not, I could just type in and yeah, but and then that icon could be highlighted.
Yeah, thank you, Kamal and Gaganpreet. So let's move to next topic by Krishna on dark mode for Meshi.io. So do we have Krishna on the call?
I don't think so.
Or his we can visit his PR, I guess. So Krishna has added a dark theme for Meshi.io website. So any outstanding comments or feedback for him?
Yeah, one of them, yeah, he and I had a session yesterday because apparently neither of the two of us have anything better to do on a Sunday. But part of the feedback that was given is if you cruise through the menu at the top, the navigation menu, okay, and then there were a couple of other sections of the site where it is, I think most people would agree, kind of visually appealing. Like, and that example is like, oh, it's kind of visually appealing that you get this interaction on the menu, but it probably crosses the line of being like distracting, of like, especially if you scroll down to one of the sections, that gradient and the use of it as a background, like here in this first section, it says access the full catalog. Full catalog is clickable, and then of cloud native patterns. And as a user, you might not even see full catalog because the thing that really sucks your eyes in and is and calls their focus is cloud native patterns. That's great, but they also miss what they can click. And I think in some places there are buttons that have that gradient color and they're clickable. And in other places, the gradient color is used as a background to highlight words and they're not clickable. It's like, whoa, we're misleading our users. We were misleading the site visitors. In some areas, we're teaching them, click me, when we have the gradient. And in other areas, we're just like, no, look at me, look at me. Either way, those gradients are like an attention whore. And they're just slumming around the site, grabbing attention wherever they can, taking attention wherever they can. And so I think the biggest piece of feedback that I had, and maybe others see this differently or can help qualify it a little better, is that there's an abuse of the gradients. I thought that those cards, those 4 cards as they're inverted, are quite beautiful. They're beautiful in their light mode, and they're equally as beautiful in their dark mode. In the light mode, so if you go back to light, so this is what it is today. This is what they do today, I believe. When you swap to dark mode, I'll point out that, part of what makes them beautiful is that there's this lighter radial gradient emanating from the lower left-hand corner of the box. I think that makes it, that adds to its beauty. But if you go back to light mode, there is not a light. They're not exactly inverse. They're not symmetric. And to me, that there's a particular part of my brain that starts to send off signals and signals of dislike when things aren't symmetric. And so that was just another point of feedback. It's super small, but I'm highlighting it for everyone else here, just as you go to review the site and reflect on some things. There was something, I think Krishna had done this in about 6 hours, or he'd done it kind of, hastily, trying to figure out if this was a desired thing or not. And so see the Cloud Native Foundation logo, he used the CSS filter to change it to white, from color to white. And in doing so, it doesn't look like the official, he needs to use the official white version, which looks slightly different, which has, anyway, you can see here that the button, it uses that gradient, which is, pretty, but it's confusing to users. You can interact with this one, but not the other ones. Oh, wow, I didn't realize that. Anyway, I think that, this is just my own personal perspective, is that these gradients might be coming into style, maybe. I think I've seen them in a couple of places. Maybe this is, but there's a little bit of an overuse of them here. And I don't know that it conveys, I don't know that it gives the site. If you go reflect on other CNCF open source project sites, some of them are pretty crappy, and most of them are only about moderately good. Anyway, that doesn't mean that we should hold back and not have an awesome site. What I mean is, this also isn't a portfolio site, or this isn't a blog site, or this isn't a shopping sales site. So yeah. Anybody else have feedback? Anybody else have thoughts about the dark mode? There's other pages to look at. I think what was more important for me is that more than dark mode, it's more the content that needs to be restructured, less service mesh, more cloud native. This section, I think right here, the created by layer 5 and used by, it can be vertically cut in half. It should be. We should just make it much tighter. This is, in part because the homepage itself is fairly long, and that's okay, but just don't need that much space for these. Other feedback though.
Okay, so my feedback regarding the dark background is that to me, the dark color with the gradient doesn't go well with the site, cause simple reasons like this is not a Web3 site. Like the gradient look much better like on Web3 sites, but I mean the gradient is taking more attention, is what I would say.
Yeah, so you all can add your feedback in the meeting minutes, or provide feedback in the website channel to Krishna. So yeah, moving on to next item. So is on SMP spec. I guess Subedi is not on the call. So let's quickly move to other items for docs.meshi.io. So it's a call for volunteer for need to recognize the overall documentation structure and solve the search anchor overlap issue. So yeah, you all can take a look on this particular issue. So we will assign if you comment on this particular issue. So next up we have is Docker extension UI. For Divine, would you like to quickly cover, or we should cover it on the next call?
Okay, I think I'll just quickly cover the It's just to get you guys with you on it. I'll share my screen in a bit, so just round up. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Oh, all right. So, for some weeks we've been talking about creating the new UX patch. So I just like gathered most of the designs that were created so we can go through them and know the way forward is which one we are implementing or any corrections that we need to make for anyone. I think Lee had already talked about most of them, but there wasn't any final decisions made yet. So I thought we could talk about it in the meeting.
Does anybody have feedback? It's thoughtful of the divine to put numbers on there. That makes it easy to speak to them. For me,
Yeah, as I had mentioned earlier in the Slack thread as well, I think any particular icon with a pen looks like suits the role a little better because for obvious reasons, yeah, a pen indicates something of which is of design or creativity, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. So anyone has more feedback for Divine?
Yeah, so in icons in general are a couple of characteristics, like one, simple. Less is more in terms of icons generally, or logos. I'm kind of conflating the two, sort of logo design, icon design, which I think that they share some characteristics, but differ a little bit. One of their shared characteristics is, well, that they are generally square-ish in that, or at least in that they fit into a square presentation pretty well. Because if you could, it's a lot like avatars, or when logos are put next to each other, they're usually given, a square place to sit. Same thing for icons; they get put into buttons and other things, or a badge in this case. Yeah, I mean, I'll stop at those two and say, so to me, something like number 4, particularly if I just see a network line is what I see, but that those lines with the 3 points, if those were removed and it was just the pen head, that would be simple. That would be, it might be, I think part of the thing that bothers me about that is that there's a lack of kind of a two-tone happening, because that center circle is so small that it probably is the other darker green, the Keppel green, but you can't see it necessarily. So I wonder if there's like an intermediary between 1 and 4 that, I don't know that it's inappropriate that there's that line, that curved line. It just starts to become a little involved, a little less like it's funny because since we're into service mesh things, and to the extent that looks like a network, it's sort of, appropriate. Even then, service mesh isn't all that we do. And I don't think it was meant to be a topological thing. It wasn't meant to be a network thing anyway. And it makes it a little, like it's maybe more than needs to be conveyed, or it makes it a little, it's not as simple as it could be. Those are things that come to mind. On the UI, like the other one that's simple enough, like number 6 is probably simple enough just to have the 2 letters U and I. The U is not commonly written like that. And we actually have a custom lettering scheme at layer 5 for all the letters. You'll notice that words like pattern or Meshry or Layer 5 or Nighthawk, or all of them come from a custom designed alphabet, of which there are SVGs or there are Illustrator files that have those that we can use. And so we would probably want to grab the U and the I from there, because the U here, that tail on that hat on the top of the U, it doesn't look like a U, and it's confusing. And so, but if it was just a U and an I, that would be simple enough and straightforward enough. One thing that I think we need to clarify is like, wait a second, is this a UX badge, or a UI badge, or is it both? And depending upon where people leaned in, maybe there's no reason that we couldn't have both, two separate ones, and there's no reason we couldn't put them together. But yeah, those are thoughts, things that come to my mind. You know, which is, if I was divine, I might say, okay, fine. You talked a lot about number 4. What if I take off that line? If I take the pen head and I increase the size of that circle while increasing the size of that small vertical line, such that now I can equally, maybe not equally, but I can represent the dark green and the light green. There's a couple of, you know, there's at least like 4 elements that there would be 3 elements, I guess. 2 with the 2 smaller with dark green and the bigger one with light. Maybe Lee would stop talking and just accept that, or suggest that that gets accepted. Alternatively, we could put these things out for vote. To be critical, like, I think to be critical, like most of them are rubbish. Like number 5, rubbish, absolute garbage. The 7, like 6, terrible, terrible. The overuse of hexagon here in this space is unbelievable. If you go to l.cncf.io, the use of hexagons across the landscape is unimaginable how many logos use that. We wouldn't want to like reincarnate it here. The I in number 2 looks, you know, a little freaky, great, cool, or whatever, you know, but it looks like, you know, some third eye on the forehead of some, you know, I don't know, some Egyptian thing. I don't know what it is. But anyway, I don't mean to say that rubbish and all that crap, but 5 actually is really super terrible. It's like, it just doesn't apply to any of the design factors or principles. It doesn't fall on, which is like, well, this low contrast is confusing. It looks like a snowflake. It's an abuse of the Meshry logo. Everybody who ever makes a logo, they will tell you, don't do that. Don't take my logo and mess with it. They will all tell you that. They're like, right, big and bold, like, do not. They'll have do's, do this. Put our logos like they were designed. Do not take our logos and abuse them. No. Anyway, don't do that to logo. So like in this case, hey, they're our logos. So we want to do it, we can. So like the U and the I on top of the Meshry, like, okay, maybe, you know, they're our logos. If we want to do that, we, you know, so that there's some leeway there. But anyway, that's just, so yeah.
I think we'll just work on the number 4 then, and just get rid of the lines. Present it again.
Yeah. Sometimes, like if I was designing it, I might be kind of frustrated because it's like, where's the creativity in that? It's just a stinking, you know, ink pen head. And great. I didn't really get to do it. I didn't get to flex my creativity. And
but I guess it still works.
Yeah. There's a bunch of other things to design though. There's a ton of either logos or artwork to design. Like there's a ton. So yeah, there's a ton of like little stick figures that we need to promote people in the community. Divine not too long ago had a new member profile on the Layer 5 IO website. That's an awesome thing. That's because others in the community recognized his contributions and wanted to invite him to have one. Great. So that's like one of those things that we would go celebrate. So if we go tweet about it, there's an opportunity for a visual graphic. A little stick figure is what we've used a lot of times to promote people in or just find Divine's photo and his member card and tweeting that out. But somebody's got to put that together. Otherwise, we just take a screenshot. Anyway, there's just a random example of the fact that we've got lots of visual graphics to design.
Yeah, all right, great. I guess that's thanks.
Thank you, Divine. So since we are over time, so let's call this a wrap. Thank you everyone for joining today's call. Hope to see you again next week. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, Gaurav. Bye, everyone.
Bye.